If you're considering a used Subaru Crosstrek, you might be wondering which engines make the best use of your gas dollars and which models came with a manual transmission. And when did Apple CarPlay and Android Auto arrive, and what model years got significant boosts to styling and safety and feature content? And just how did the EyeSight safety system evolve alongside the Crosstrek model range over the years?
All of that and more coming up in this video, including some interesting fuel economy math on how to get 30 free horsepower for your gas dollars. But for now, let's kick things off with a timeline.
So the first generation Crosstrek hits the road in 2012 for the 2013 model year, and back then it's called the XV Crosstrek, and it's a small crossover that counts the Hyundai Kona, Mazda CX-30, Jeep Renegade, and Honda HR-V amongst its key competitors. Every single Crosstrek comes with all-wheel drive and a 2-liter 4-cylinder boxer engine with 148 horsepower, and you can have a continuously variable transmission (CVT) as the automatic option. But a 5-speed manual was widely available across this model line, making this about the last crossover you'll find with a stick in the used market today. Both transmissions included hill hold, which automatically prevents rollback as you set off on inclines. Touring, Sport, and Limited models were available at launch, with high-intensity discharge headlights standard on Sport and Limited grades. And other high-end featured content included a power sunroof, leather steering wheel, and dual-zone climate control. Rear seat legroom is comparable to a mid-sized car, and a 4.3-inch color dash display was standard on all models. There are no notable changes for 2014, but for 2015, the Crosstrek's now done 2 years on sale, and we've got our first update. The aerodynamics of the roof rails were tweaked for a quieter drive, and updated exterior mirrors are styled more like the Subaru WRX. The 2015 model year update also brings refreshed interior trim and finishes, a standard rear-view camera, one-touch turn signals, improved gauges and instruments, and technology improvements across all trim levels. Subaru's camera-based driver assist system EyeSight joins the Crosstrek for 2015 as well, and you can find it in the Sport and Limited trim grades with the optional technology package if you're looking. Elsewhere for this update, equipment is added to make sure all Crosstrek models meet the Partial Zero Emissions Vehicle or PZEV designation by reducing evaporative fuel emissions, and there's a significant upgrade to the infotainment system, which now gets a 6.2-inch screen, Bluetooth, audio streaming, USB connectivity, iPod control, and satellite radio. Look for it in the Touring or Sport model grades. Then comes model year 2016, where the updates really begin to pile on. Now the Crosstrek has new wheel designs, standard 17s, more contrast stitching inside, and for its 4th year on sale, the first generation Crosstrek now gets the first visual update with new fascias front and rear. The XV designation is dropped from the name, so now it's just Crosstrek, and limited models for 2016 get a 7-inch screen, with Apple Siri integration and Sirius XM traffic and advanced audio features too. The model structure is still Touring, Sport, and Limited trim grades, with the technology option available for both Sport and Limited.
Things remain the same under the hood this year, the same 2-liter boxer 4-cylinder engine, and the driver's choice of CVT or manual transmission on all trim grades.
With the manual 5-speed and a good set of winter tires, this is a lot of fun to drive in the snow and in the back roads. And remember that while the Crosstrek was available as a hybrid, we're focusing on the much more common non-hybrid version in this video.
So 2017 wraps up with minimal changes, and then for 2018, we get to meet an all-new Crosstrek once again.
The 2018 Crosstrek is all new once again, the first year of the second generation machine, which now rides the Subaru Global platform, with a stretched wheelbase for more interior room despite only a small increase in overall size. There's a new 4-cylinder boxer engine, still 2 liters displacement, but now offering 152 horsepower, that's 4 more than the previous engine. I'll be detailing the fuel costs of these two engines in dollars and cents a little later in this video, alongside the fuel costs of a third Crosstrek engine I haven't told you about yet, because it arrives a little later in this timeline. The new body structure in the second generation Crosstrek is 70% more rigid, making it a better foundation upon which to tune the drive, ride, and handling. A manual transmission carries on, now it's a 6-speed stick or available CVT across most trim grades. So the manual transmission remains alive and well here, though the extra gear doesn't help its fuel economy. More on that later. Elsewhere with the second generation Crosstrek, you can expect an updated and retuned ride, quicker steering, a sharper feel to the transmission, and an overall drive that capitalizes on the lower center of gravity while keeping core Crosstrek attributes well intact. Finally, the all-wheel drive system gains active torque vectoring for further enhanced handling and control. EyeSight is optional on Sport and Limited trims in 2018 and includes adaptive cruise, pre-collision braking, lane departure, lane sway, and lane keeping functions, with gentle steering inputs, all of this from model year 2018. Incidentally, that's also the first year you'll find the X-Mode function, which dials up traction at a button press for slippery situations and controls speed on steep inclines too.
So if you want all of that stuff, it's 2018 or newer, and if you want to avoid all of that stuff, it's 2017 or older. And by the way, with the new model for 2018, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto become standard on all trim grades too.
The next year, 2019, the infotainment system software is reworked to improve system performance, but beyond that, we see no notable updates elsewhere. And then for 2020, the second generation Crosstrek's third year on sale. Automatic climate control and a rear seat reminder system are added to the standard features list, and EyeSight also becomes standard on all automatic equipped models regardless of the trim grade. Then model year 2021 arrives with a new engine option that poses an interesting question for your gas dollars, and I've got that math for you coming up. This is the first time we're seeing an optional engine upgrade in the Crosstrek. Now for the first time, you can have your Crosstrek with a 2.5-liter 185 horsepower version of the flat 4. Joining the 2-liter 152 horsepower unit used elsewhere in the second generation Crosstrek, that's 2018 and up, remember. You'll find the bigger engine powering this outdoor trim grade, and we've got EyeSight now offering lane centering assist from 2021 and on. And the 6-speed manual still available on multiple trim grades, but only with the 2-liter engine. For 2022 and 2023, updates are again minimal as Subaru starts to shift focus to the all-new third generation Crosstrek, which launched for model year 2024. Bringing us to today, where the Crosstrek has 2 complete generations and a number of notable overhauls in the books for used shoppers to consider.
Of course, you should also consider the fuel economy between the different engines and generations, so let's take a look. And you're about to learn how to get 30 free horsepower for your gas dollars, so pay close attention.
So I've crunched all the numbers already, but I want to leave you with some interesting calculations. The first generation Crosstrek with the 2-liter 148 horsepower engine needs, on average, 8.1 liters of gas to drive 100 kilometers with the CVT transmission. And with the manual transmission, it needs 9.1 liters of gas to drive that same distance on average. So if you're Canadian driving 25,000 kilometers per year and paying $1.60 for a liter of gas, that's an annual fuel bill of $3,240 for the automatic, or $3,640 for the manual, meaning you can expect to pay about $400 a year more at the pumps, or roughly $33 a month to shift your own gears. Now the second generation Crosstrek with 2-liter boxer engine up to 152 horsepower in this case needs 7.9 liters of gas to drive 100 kilometers with the automatic, and with the 6-speed manual, make it 9.4 liters for the same distance. So for the second generation, the automatic is slightly more fuel efficient than the first, but the manual is actually even thirstier. With the automatic, you're looking at $3,160 per year. That's actually $80 a year less than the first generation automatic. But equip your second generation Crosstrek with the 6-speed stick and we're up to $3,760 a year. So now the fuel cost premium for shifting your own gears goes from $400 annually, or about $33 a month in the first generation machine, to $600 annually, or about $50 a month in the second generation machine. And what about that optional 2.5-liter engine with 30 extra horsepower? Well, turns out its fuel consumption is a virtual tie with the 2-liter. Despite a significant power advantage, the difference between these two engines in terms of fuel costs is less than $40 a year. So just take the 30 free horsepower.
Be sure to let your fellow drivers know down in the comments section which model year that you're considering, or maybe that you're already driving, and what you think of it. In Sudbury, Ontario, I'm Justin Pritchard, and we'll see you in the next video.